Part 1, The Ding-Dong Ditch Gone Wrong. We were 13, reckless, bored, and addicted to the rush of Saturday night ding-dong ditch. Mark, James, Matt, and me, 4 kids who thought we owned the neighborhood. The houses back then were fewer, the streets darker, the woods thicker. Hiding spots everywhere. We thought we were untouchable. Until that house. Across from a stretch of dark, whispering woods stood a small, neglected home. Tall grass. Rusting car under a tattered cover. A front yard that seemed to breathe under the moonlight. Mark rang the bell like always and sprinted back. But the man who opened the door wasn't like the others. 6 feet of fury, a stocky frame, his eyes scanning the darkness like a predator's. He stalked his yard, muttering threats. We laughed, at first. Mark tried again. Bad idea. This time the door burst open and the man stepped out with a rifle. He checked the bushes, the car, even behind the trees, then turned his head toward the woods where we hid. He didn't blink. We ducked lower. My heart slammed against my ribs. He went back inside but soon reappeared at the window, a motionless silhouette staring into the trees, staring at us. And Mark? Mark was creeping back up to ring the bell again. We froze, unable to warn him. Then Mark's voice cut through the dark. Run! We turned. The man was behind us in the woods, rifle raised. His boots pounded the soil as we bolted like prey, sprinting block after block until our lungs burned. We never told the cops. We never walked past that house again. Part 2, The House from Hell. I thought I was lucky when my parents paid for a small off-campus house. Modest, quiet, mine alone. For a few days anyway. It started with the scraping sound. A low drag across the living room floor like something heavy moving by itself. Then Cheerios spilling onto the kitchen floor out of nowhere. Then footsteps, soft creaks behind the kitchen table where no one stood. Rain hammered the windows that night, thunder rolling overhead. I drifted off in front of the TV, but a bang woke me from a shallow doze. I shut everything off and went upstairs to bed, trying to convince myself it was nothing. Days passed. Another storm came. I woke up sick, weak, my head spinning. Above me, 3 slow thuds from the attic. I pulled the cord, grabbed my old baseball bat and climbed the stairs. The attic smelled of dust and forgotten lives. Boxes. Cobwebs. Nothing living. But it felt wrong, as if something held its breath up there with me. That night the thuds came back. Louder. Closer. I pulled the attic cord again, bat in hand, trying to sound brave as I shouted into the dark. Then, a child's giggle. In the pitch-black attic. My body turned to ice. I don't remember running down the stairs. I remember only the rain and my father's voice on the phone, asking what was wrong. By morning I was gone, the house abandoned. Some things in that attic weren't human. Part 3, Mel's Basement, expanded version. When I was 20, I took a job as a live-in maid for an elderly woman named Mel. She lived alone on a 2-acre patch of land swallowed by woods so thick the sunlight barely pierced the canopy. The house itself was ancient, its wooden bones sagging under the weight of decades. Curtains were always drawn tight, as though the daylight was something to be feared. In every room, instead of lamps, Mel used candles. The flickering flames cast long, shuddering shadows across the peeling wallpaper, making the house feel like it was breathing. And the floors, oh the floors, groaned with every step as though the house had secrets it didn't want to share. There was only one rule. Never go into the basement. Mel had said it once, her voice like dry paper. No explanation. No smile. Just that rule. One Friday night she asked me to stay over. She said it so casually, as though she had done it before, though something in her flat eyes made my stomach tighten. The house had more than enough empty bedrooms, so I picked one, dropped my bag on the creaky bed frame and tried to settle in. But Mel's sudden appearance in the doorway froze me. She stood there without making a sound, her silhouette framed by flickering candlelight. Her eyes were lifeless, glassy like dolls. "Clean before you sleep," she whispered, then vanished upstairs. All evening as I dusted and swept, I could hear her pacing overhead. The slow rhythm of her footsteps matched the groans of the old house. It felt like she wasn't walking so much as circling. Watching. Night fell and the house transformed. The air turned colder, heavier. Even with the door locked, my bedroom felt like a tomb. I lay on the stiff mattress, staring at the cracked ceiling, listening. Her footsteps began again, soft at first, passing my door. Then stopping. I held my breath. The wood creaked as if under the weight of someone leaning in. Silence. Then the faintest sound of a door opening somewhere below. The basement door. Closing again. And her footsteps fading. Later they returned. Slow, heavy steps ascending the staircase. She stopped outside my door. This time the doorknob turned. My pulse hammered. I squeezed my eyes shut, feigning sleep. The door opened with a hiss of old hinges. I could feel her presence at the foot of the bed. The smell of candle wax and something else. Metallic, sharp. Then, as if satisfied, she left, her footsteps fading into the dark hall. I waited until I was sure she was upstairs. Then, trembling, I slipped out of bed. The air in the hallway was like ice. The house seemed to tilt around me as I crept to the forbidden door. My hand hovered over the knob. For a moment I swore I heard whispering below. I flicked on the light and descended the narrow wooden stairs. The basement smelled of damp rot and old stone. 2 chairs sat in the middle of the room. On them were 2 bodies, slumped but propped upright, their skin mottled and waxy. Each wore a wig styled neatly as though for tea. A bug crawled across one's cheek, disappearing into a hollowed eye socket. The sight froze me where I stood. My stomach lurched. Then I heard it, footsteps above. Slow. Heavy. The sound of someone opening the basement door. My breath caught in my throat. I ducked behind an old couch, heart hammering against my ribs. The stairs groaned as she descended. Candlelight spilled into the room. Your name? Her whisper floated through the dark like a blade. I peeked over the edge of the couch. Mel was halfway across the basement, her face pale and tight, a kitchen knife glinting in her hand. I bolted. Up the stairs 2 at a time, my bag clutched to my chest. Behind me, her voice rose, no longer a whisper but a rasping growl. My feet hit the front door. I tore it open, dashed into the night, and didn't stop until my car engine roared to life. Gravel sprayed behind me as I sped down the long tree-lined driveway. In my rearview mirror, she stood framed in the open doorway, the candlelight flickering around her like a halo of fire, watching me disappear into the dark. I never went back. But even now, years later, I still dream of the basement,